We get to the end of the journey all right, or at least to the end of the track. But while all the others prepare to alight, we remain on the car and go back. And when we get married, now boys, here's a tip that ought to be useful to you. We shan't spend too much on the honeymoon trip.
To get the trams from Royal Hotel down to Dereham Road, they knocked down a whole lot of buildings in Redwell Street, that's right. There's a fork where it's St Benedict's one side and Westwick Street the other side. Now that corner, there was a huge public house stood right across called the Three Pigeons, and that was demolished and the building was to get the street through because St Benedict Street was only about 10 feet wide. And then they moved the pigeons to the other side of the street, and that's now called a hog in armour. On the lower deck of the tram car, there was just one long seat that went all the way along, and if you squeezed up you could always get another one in. Now upstairs, they were all wooden seat things, and the backs of them went backwards and forwards. So whichever way the tram went, you could face the right way. The Norwich tram cars had 7 routes, and they had boards on the front of the cars, different colours, to indicate the routes. Now the white route was Unbanks Road and Magdalen Road. The red route was Earlham and Thorpe Road. The green route was Cavalry Barracks to Newmarket Road, and with an extension to Mousehold in the summer season. And the orange route was Orford Place to Trowse, and the yellow and red route was Orford Place to City Road, and the red and blue route was Elsham Road to Royal Hotel, and the blue route was, it started at the Royal Hotel and it went all the way through St Andrews, St Benedict's, and on as far as the top of the hill on Dereham Road. And they were the 7 routes of Norwich Trams. No, that's my friend Jock, and he knew I was interested in trams, and he said, I've got a cat badge you can have if you like. And he also gave me a little book, a little red book, Advice to Car Drivers. Interesting little book, tells you exactly what to do when driving a tram. Mind you, there was one tramway that had a tremendous alteration. When they first wanted to run trams to Trowse, the tram line went from Prince of Wales Road all the way down King Street, the full length of King Street, until you got to Brackendale and then down to Trowse. And they found King Street impossible, and so they rerouted that one from Orford Place, and they had another tram line which ran along Queen's Road to take you to Trowse that way. Well, when I was little, I went to Angel Road Elementary School, and every year there was a big sports day up at Newmarket Road, and that's where the school sports were held. Well, after the sports were over, there'd be 3 or 4 trams waiting on Newmarket Road to take all the children back to the city, and it was quite unbelievable the number of children they got on a tram. They reckon they could get well over 100 children on a tram car. In 1935, the option came up for the Norwich City Council to buy the tram company, and they were totally opposed to the idea, and they said that they weren't going to prop up an organisation that was on the way down. And so the Norwich Electric Tramcars were purchased by Eastern Counties Buses, and they promptly closed the whole thing down and replaced them all with buses. All the people who were interested in trams got together, and we had a sort of a tram club. And one day they said that some gentleman, I forget who he was, at Carlton Colville, he was going to get this tram car from, that was on the cliffs somewhere, not far from Lowestoft. Anyway, we all went over and we all dug the whole thing out, and they got it all jacked up, and they got a trolley, and they got it on the trolley and got it on as a trailer, and they took it to Carlton Colville, and then all the boys got to work on it at Carlton Colville and restored it all, and that was the last remaining Lowestoft tram, and I think it's still at Carlton Colville, and they run it on rails now, don't they? We had a prominent alderman in Norwich called Alderman Green, and he had a large gents outfitters and drapery in the Haymarket. Up stepped Inspector Hunt with "Tickets, please." And he approached Alderman Green and asked him for his ticket, and he said he dropped it on the floor while giving his seat to a lady. And so the inspector says, well, you better find it then. And so Alderman Green said he was not going to grovel on the floor looking for a ticket. And he expected the inspector to take his word as a gentleman that he had in fact paid his fare. But no, the inspector pressed charges and he was duly fined £5, which is about 250 in modern money. And after that, Alderman Green bought a rat and cane, and every time he passed a tram stand, he used to hit it. Alderman Green.
A temporary works route had been laid down in 1918 to transport armaments and aircraft parts from the factories around the now long-defunct Mousehold Heath airfield to Thorpe Mainline Station. The Mousehold Light Railway used the Newmarket Road Cavalry Barracks line with an extension through the Heath, a short way east of the Pavilion, now called Zax, on Gurney Road, to near the junction with what is now Roundtree Way. The rails were recycled from the disused King Street route and differed in construction from the other routes by using wooden sleepers. The goods wagons were hauled by two government-owned electric tractors with BTH controllers and powerful 38 horsepower motors to pull the heavy loads across Mousehold Heath. At the war's end, this line was discontinued and the tractors passed into the possession of Norwich Electric Tramcar Company, who converted them to tram use, where they were known affectionately by the motormen as dreadnoughts, due to their wartime role. The rails and sleepers were not taken up until the 1930s, but evidence of the course of the disused railway, cuttings and curves through the wooded heath can still be found. And a note to metal detectorists: there is nothing left. This light railway departed from the Green route at the south end of Riverside Road, crossed the Thorpe Road junction east of Foundry Bridge and entered the station forecourt by means of a spur line which ran up the northern side of the terminus, from where goods were offloaded onto the main line.
There's not much to pay. You sit next together, soon all the way, and many are